Well, hey there, folks. This is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Welcome to my bee yard here in southeast Louisiana. I just want to go ahead before we get started and wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope that as we celebrate the birth of Jesus, that each and every one of you finds hope and joy in that. And I do know I sure do. Well, folks, as you can see, it's pretty cloudy and overcast. It's cool. The high today was 55, but we're already dropping back into the mid to low 40s. I think we're supposed to get into the mid 30s tonight and then the low 30s tomorrow night. But it has been, it was windy too, very windy today, but that's died down. That's good. The wind has laid down, so it's warmed up a lot without that wind. But it's really been nice. And I've said this before. It's really been nice having cool weather for a change in fall and winter. We've just had two extremely warm winters. Last year, I honestly think we might have had one hard freeze and maybe a couple frosts. It was really that warm and a lot of heat and humidity. But what I can tell you about these cold winters is my bees have always come out of winter better when we've had nice cold winters. I don't know why that is. I do know one of the reasons is it does knock the pests back some. It knocks the hive beetles back for sure. Now I'm sure some of you guys are getting some really cold weather. I'm watching the weather. I know Pennsylvania, you up there, you're getting ready to get a good amount of snow if you haven't already got it. Northern Tennessee, all you guys up north. I'm getting posts from guys up north in Minnesota, everywhere. Just a lot of snow, a lot of cold. Well, we don't get quite that cold, but I can just honestly say that my hives seem to have always done better when we have cold winters. I don't know, we'll see, who knows. We've had it where we've been cold at the beginning and warm the rest of the time, so we'll see. Hopefully we stay cool through this winter. So being this winter, we got camellias blooming. That's when they bloom. Bees when they are flying. Of course, they haven't flown in the last few days, but when they do fly, they're out there getting that camellia pollen. You can see all the buds on this camellia. This thing is loaded. Loaded with buds. This camellia is one of my most beautiful ones. It's a light pink, and because of the heat last year in the winter, we didn't have a good bloom. But when it's cold like this and we get a good bloom on this thing is beautiful with pink camellias. And then they all fall down into the bed and they literally cover all the way around. So as far as in the bee yard, just not a lot going on, obviously. But in the bee house, in the bee shed, there's been quite a bit. I got a lot of foundations ordered. Going to get some frames started to be putting together. Bottling honey every week, of course. And I got my pollen finally taken care of. So that's what this video is going to be about today, guys. These are clips that were taken at different times in the last few weeks. And let me speak about pollen. I'm not an expert on pollen. You know how much, let me tell you how much I really know about pollen. About that much. Very, very little. As far as selling it and marketing it and producing a bunch of it, I just haven't done it that much. I've collected pollen a couple years running. I skipped it a year or so, I think last year and the year before maybe. But I've collected pollen and I have sold it, but I've sold it raw. Pollen comes out real soft, and when you get it out of the trap, if you squish it with your fingers, it'll ruin it. It'll just, it's all really moist and soft. So you gotta either freeze it or dry it. In the past few years, I've frozen it, and I've sold it here and there. I've sold it to people, friends, other folks I know that needed it for smoothies or energy drinks or whatever. Sold it, I think I told you, to a horse trainer who trained race horses, and he would feed it to them before a race. I don't know what that was all about, but didn't ask. He was paying, I was selling. So, but I didn't get a lot, and I didn't get a lot this year, but I got enough to dry and to go out and do a trial in the market and see what people think of it. So I didn't dry it on cookie sheets. I used a dehydrator. So let me show you what I did. And I got it bottled up, and I also had to go do a little honey bottling. So let's take a look at what I did for this pollen and how it came out. Now, I do want to say, before we go any further, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to do that. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, guys. Alright, we're going to try some, a little different. Instead of putting pollen on a cookie sheet out in the sun, we're going to drop it in a dehydrator. Now this dehydrator doesn't have a fan. This is just rising heat, so we'll see how it does. And what I did was I put screen in here, cut out some stainless screen. So I'm just going to do one of my bowls. I'm not going to do all the pollen. I don't want no trouble. But I see no reason why this won't work. I did see this a guy on YouTube do it with this. Some of this is goldenrod pollen, so there's no telling what this place is going to smell like when I'm done. Alright, this will do. We'll put 4 trays in. So let's get some of this moisture out of here. Put the lid on and we'll see what happens. We'll dry this pollen. Oh, it's already smelling. Alright. This is overnight. I rotated these up and down a couple times before I went to bed. But you see, this one was on the bottom this morning when I got up, so it's a little darker. This doesn't have a fan, so it's not great, but it's dry. Yep, it's dry. I rotated those to the bottom because they weren't all the way dry. But we're going to pour them off. Then we just got to put them through a blower and clean it. And we're going to pour it off. And then I'll do another bowl of this. I got another big old bowl full of it. And then we're going to dry it through, just use a hair dryer, drop it through a funnel. And that'll knock anything, the little stuff's going to fall through the screen as I pour it. The hair dryer on a low will blow off any extra pieces and parts of maybe some bees, and the pollen will drop straight on by. This is just cleaning the pollen. Any of the pollen that got crushed or turned into powder will come out. I just seen an ant blow, an old dead carpenter ant blow out. Now they make a box for this. They used to make a box for this. Brushy Mountain made it. And it basically was a Rubbermaid with a fan in it. And you can make them, and I don't do enough pollen to worry about it. And I'm looking at some of the stuff blowing out, and it's accomplishing what we wanted to accomplish. Come out. But that's clean. Looking good. Let's see what came out. Well, let's turn this hairdryer off first. Oh, okay, I know. This is sketchy, okay? This is sketchy, but it works. If I start doing a lot of pollen, I probably will buy something to do it with. But look, so all the pollen, there's a little bit of pollen in there, but that's when I got it too close. But all the pollen that's got crushed, you can see it in the powder form, that blew out of there. All those little pieces of debris, there's a bee leg, that's a bee leg, little ant parts, bee heads, that's a bee head. I had to pick that out though, that one and that one. But you see most of it, heck, that's an old mite that blew out of there. Look at there. You see that mite right there? I don't know if it'll show on this GoPro. Anyway, you can see the trash that blew out of it. If I were doing a lot of pollen, I probably would make something. And all it is you can take a Rubbermaid, put a hole in the side and put a hairdryer, or one of those computer cooling fans is what I'd like to use. But anyway, put a little fan in there and basically put a hole in the top for a funnel. You build a funnel in there, and in the bottom you put a hole or a second deck of some sort in there, and a catch basin, and you let it blow through that Rubbermaid, and you open the other end up, and you can do it outside. And then it's just a matter of plug it in and drop it through. But I mean, I don't do a lot of pollen, so I only got one more batch of that to do, and then we'll weigh it out and put it in some bottles. But if I did a lot of it, then I would make something. But if I do decide to, you know, if pollen really were to take off, or people get to know me for selling pollen, then by all means I will go ahead and I'll go ahead and make me a professional winnower instead of this setup. Call it sketchy, but it works. All right, let me get some more done. So your second run, there's where we're at. So we got a lot of debris out, got to sweep up the floor, but that's good clean pollen. I'm gonna go ahead and weigh it out and bottle it up. All right, so I'm gonna put them in these 8-ounce bears. I'm gonna go by the pound, and we're gonna zero that. There we go. All right, so up to the ears, we're looking at 3 1/8 ounce of pollen. No, let me take that back. 3 3/8 pound. This is the first time I actually bottling it up dry like this. I did miss the pollen. I should have hit the pollen traps about 2 weeks prior. I think I'd have been better off. 3 1/8, so there you go. Throw the lid on. 3 3/8. So basically up to the ears. So I'm going to finish these up, but that's some dry pollen. Probably going to dump it out and make it an even 3 ounces per bottle. Alright folks, that's it. Got them done. This is the first year I've really sold dry pollen. I've messed with pollen. I've trapped pollen for a few years now. I've sold it. Again, I sold it when it was raw. That's when you freeze it. It was just one of those things I was kind of messing with and giving it away and selling it here and there. Wasn't a big deal. Skipped a year last year, I want to say it was. There was a year I skipped and I wanted to really get it, but I didn't get into it. And then there was the year that the bees were all killed, so it didn't work that year. But this year, I finally decided to mess around and really go through the whole process and see what I could come up with, and if it's going to be marketable in this area. So I got several little jars over here. So was that 6, 8, 6, 9, 10 jars, 10 little bears. So good enough. We'll see what they do at the markets. We'll offer it to people, and I'm going to come up with a price. I got to look at the price and break it down. There's a 3 ounces worth of pollen in each one. It's not a lot. It's not a lot for one person that really eats pollen. It won't get them very far at all. And of course, if they want to buy it all, I'll just, I'll bulk rate it and get it on out the door. But I just want to see if there's a market. Because what I found out selling honey, there's certain things in certain areas that people just don't buy. And there are certain times of the year where stuff that used to sell really good doesn't sell anymore in certain sizes, and glass versus plastic, and we had to measure that market, and now we know what to bring and how much to produce. So that's what we're doing with the pollen. But it's good and dry, very dry, and I'm going to see what it does. We'll go to our market and we'll market it and see what it does. And if it's a flop, then we won't mess with it no more. And if it's good, maybe I'll get another pollen trap or two and designate a certain few hives just to do pollen with. So again, we'll see. Alright guys, I appreciate everybody watching. Hey, look, if you like the video, as always, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. And don't forget to share this video with your friends, your family, anybody that just enjoys watching bees. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And may the Lord God bless you and keep you. Y'all take it easy.